Hello again everyone. I am here today with a swatching video of some Kuretake paints. So this is also sort of a follow-up to the swatching that I did of this little set by Kuretake that I purchased from St. Louis Art Supply, I believe. So I'll put a link down below to the swatching of this. We'll see how long it goes with the larger palette swatching, and if I have time I will continue to do this one. I've been wanting to go back to more watercolor. I just have been so busy with work that I haven't really had a lot of time to dedicate to watercolor, and I wanted to bring it back to the channel a little bit more. If in no other way than at least some swatching, because that's something I can do fairly quickly, and I think a lot of people like swatchings. So I know I like swatchings because I like doing them. They're very relaxing. But anyway, so this I've had for a while and it's been fairly neglected. So this is my 36 color Kuretake set. And as you can see, because I live in such a dry environment, some of the colors have cracked a little bit. I have used this off and on. You can see some of the colors are kind of sullied by other colors on the palette, but I haven't used it a whole lot. So I would like to get back into using it. So this is the 36 color set. Let's see if I can put it sideways so you can see all of the colors. So these sets come in a variety of sizes. This is the 36 palette set, and then they also come in a larger 48 palette set. And with this extra little set here, it's essentially the same as the 48 color set with these two here. So these are all the colors that you would get in the 48 palette set. So let me go ahead and take this plastic cover off of here. I really just kind of left it there so that the colors wouldn't get dirty. Here's a little preview of what you're about to see. So here's all the colors. I feel like these new colors are a little bit more muted, but that kind of makes sense because here you have sort of a base set and then there's these additions. So let's go ahead and get in there. Put those off to the side. Okay, now I'm going to take this one off camera for just a minute while I swatch this one. And the paper that I'm going to be using for swatching today is my usual swatching paper, which is Pentalic watercolor paper. It really works quite well to show off colors accurately, even though it is a fairly inexpensive paper and is not 100% cotton. So that's what I'm going to be using today. And I'm probably not, actually let me swap these so that you can see, and I'll zoom in so that you can see the swatches a little bit better. You're not going to be necessarily seeing the pans as I swatch, but you should be able to see the swatch itself. And I'll show you the pan again at the end. Okay. And I don't, yeah, they are labeled with their names. So let me actually get that into a place where I can see the names and tell them to you as I'm swatching them. And the brush I'm going to be using today is this sable brush from Jerry's Artorama. And it is a pretty good brush for swatching. I got it way on sale, so it's not something that I feel like I need to be precious with. So, and then I have a cup of water off to the side here and a little paper towel in case things get messy. I generally like to cover up my leather pad when I'm doing watercoloring here, but today I think I'm gonna risk it and see how it goes. And even if we get a little water or color on it, it's not really an issue because this is a working desk. Okay, so I'm going to start at the top here. This is red. I was like, oh, what's the name of this color? Red. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the full strength and do a little bit of a diluted version next to it with each of these colors. And I may have to flip over to the next side or the next page, but that's okay if we need to do that. So then here I have another red, but this one is called Carmine. And it's been a little while since these colors have been used, so I want to make sure I use a lot of water, although they re-wet fairly easily. Okay. That's Carmine. And I'm not going to be labeling them, I'm just going to tell you what they are as we go. And then this next color is Rose Madder. and that one's much lighter. It's actually a beautiful pink. And then the next color is Rose Madder Deep. So as you would expect, this is a deeper color than the last one. And these are all very pigmented paints. And I think they're actually sort of in between gouache and watercolor, because some of them are a little bit more opaque than others. There's also a lot more water used, or not water, there's a lot more white used in these colors than traditional watercolors. But they're kind of their own thing, these Japanese pan watercolors. So this next one is Cadmium Red. And that's a pretty opaque color. Let me add a little bit more there. Okay, next we have Cadmium Scarlet. Beautiful, a little bit more orange than that last cadmium. And then next we have Cadmium Orange. Actually, let me get a little more water in there. It seems a little transparent for a cadmium, actually. Next we have Yellow Ochre. This one's pretty dry, so let me work on that a little bit. There we go. And before I keep going, I'm actually going to put a little dot of water on the future colors just so that they can already get going with a little bit of wetness so that it doesn't take me as long to refresh the colors as I go. And this is a trick that you can use with pretty much every palette if you have a palette that's been fairly dry for a long time, or you have some watercolors that are a little bit harder to wet. You could also spray the palette. This is just what I have on hand, and I don't really want to be spraying over my leather desk pad. Okay, well, and some colors may not be entirely true representations just because they have a little bit of extra other color in there. All right, so this next color is Cadmium Yellow. There's a lot of cadmiums. Yeah, that's much better to let it sit with some water beforehand. Okay, and then we have Orillin. I think that's how you say that. I don't know. It's a fairly common yellow color. There's actually not a whole lot of difference between this and the cadmium, other than this one's a little bit more transparent. Okay, and then we have Lemon Yellow, which I've clearly been using. Lemon Yellow is clearly one of my favorites because I use it a lot for mixing greens, and that pan's a little green. Okay. Oh, looks like I got a little bit of fluff in there. Okay. And Olive Green is the next one here. That's a lovely color. These colors are actually very versatile, and I have used them for landscapes. I may queue up this paint as my next paint with me for landscape paintings, just because it does have a lot of really nice colors that work for that. Okay, so that color is Sap Green Light, and then we have Sap Green. definitely think we're going to have to be going over to a new page. And this next one is Hooker's Green. Wow, that must have been really dry. It absorbed all the water I put in there already. Hooker's Green, which is generally a pretty bright green. It's interesting, these don't seem to flow as much. Okay, and then we have Sap Green Deep. It's kind of nice to have so many options for sap green. I would think in a normal set you wouldn't necessarily have to have 3 levels of sap green because you could lighten or darken. Darken is the easier with watercolor, but they do seem fairly different, these 3. Okay, and then we have Viridian. I think I can do one more layer underneath this and then I'll have to flip the page. That's Viridian. Forest Green. There's a lot of really beautiful greens in here actually. Forest Green is really beautiful. It's almost like a perylene green. Then we have Turquoise Green Deep. Lovely. Very lovely, actually. Very pigmented as well. The next one we have is Malachite, which I suspect has some white in it. Let's do one more row. This one is Ultramarine Pale, which again I think has some white in it. Ultramarine. That's a pretty typical ultramarine, very pretty. And then we have Cerulean Blue. Just a lovely blue color. It's nice to have so many blues too. This is basically a really good nature palette because you can create so many greens and there are so many greens available to you as well. Okay, and the last one I'm going to put on this page is Turquoise Blue, which is very, very pretty. So many lovely colors in this palette. All right, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put this little box top over here. Actually, I may not need that. Might just be able to, yeah, lean it up against there. I just don't want any of that color to get on the desk. Okay, where were we? Okay, so this one is going to be Prussian Blue. Prussian Blue is usually very deep and pigmented. Lovely. Next we have Indigo. But yeah, basically any blue I would want to use, this palette has. So it's quite nice that way. I've actually forgotten how versatile this palette is with the color selection, which makes me want to use it. Okay, next we have Imperial Violet. Very deep violet. And then we have Cobalt Violet, which I would say is a fairly dark Cobalt Violet. Darker than a lot of Cobalt Violets I've seen. Okay. Especially since I did a whole search for a particular tone of Cobalt Violet, and that one's not really it. But it is a beautiful color. Okay, so the next one is just plain old purple. which is kind of interesting because I think I would call this one plain all purple. And that's probably more, well, I don't know. It's probably a little too red to be a Cobalt Violet. The next one is Burnt Sienna. Yeah, and one of my complaints about this palette originally was that it didn't contain a lot of neutrals, but the little add-on palette really helped with that because it has some more neutral colors. This next one is Raw Umber Deep. And then we have Black, which I generally don't use a lot of, but this is a really great black. You can get really, really dark, and you can also get some nice grays when you dilute it out. Okay, so now we're getting into white, which may have a little bit of a lavender tone just because of what I had been mixing it with. Okay. And we actually have enough space to do the other colors, so I'm going to go ahead and do those. Okay, so that was the white. This next one is white gold, which you're also probably not going to be able to see very well. Once I'm done, I'll put this in front of the camera and see if you can get a little bit more of that sheen. The next one is blush gold. And that actually re-wet quite nicely and is a really nice gold color. And then we have just plain old gold, which is the last one in this palette. And you can judge for yourself whether that truly is a plain old gold color or not. Okay, so let's see. How many rows did I do here? 6. Okay, yes, I will have enough if I keep my swatches a little bit small. So now I'm going to go ahead and put that right on top of here, this littler palette. And if I were swatching these in order, I would probably associate a different order with these than how they're going to be showing up in these swatches, but that's just because this is sort of an add-on set. If you were to rearrange the colors, they probably would show up differently in the order. So, oh, actually I need that little thing to tell me what colors these are. So this first one is Cherry Blossom Pink. And that definitely has some white in it. And we might be getting a little excess sparkles at this point because I'm not changing my water out in between doing those iridescent colors and getting back in here. This next one is Lilac, which again is going to have some white in it. Horizon Blue, again probably white in there. It's a beautiful color though. Horizon Blue, and then the next one is Cobalt Blue. You would think we wouldn't need any more blues, but they found some more. And they're both really pretty and good additions, I think. All right, the next one we have is Lime Green. It's very nuclear. I probably would mix that with something else. The next one is a greenish yellow, which I would probably call sort of a green gold. It's really pretty actually. Then we have Natural Beige, so these are sort of some neutral colors to add to the mix. You're definitely going to have some white in with these, and these are going to be, the ones that have white tend to be a little bit more opaque. And then we have Rosevit Beige, which is really pretty, and actually it has a little bit of color separation, so you end up getting some of that pink along with that sort of taupey color. And okay, we're on to the last 4. We have Indian Red, which is a very opaque color. I think I have actually wet it out a little bit. You can get it even more opaque than that. I really do like Indian Yellow though. It's very versatile because you can get sort of a potter's pink color if it's diluted out, and then it's really nice in its mass tone as well. The next one we have is Maroon, so a lovely sort of neutral red. That actually is nice diluted as well. And then we have Gray, which you really could make from the other colors you have, but it's kind of nice to have a ready-made gray. And then the last one here is Blue Gray Deep, which I would say is sort of like a Payne's Gray, which is lovely. And it's not the same as the Indigo, because here's the Indigo up here. All right, probably added a little water, too much water there at the end, but let's go ahead and rinse that brush out. And then I'm going to show you these first, and then I will go up close, and then I will go back to the prior page. Let's see. Really beautiful colors. You can see with the iridescence, you can actually see that sheen on that, what was the color? White gold a little bit better. It might be a nice mixing color actually, and you can even see the white a little bit. And then we have these, which are in the little additional set here. And then I'll go back and make sure I don't lay this page over that one so it doesn't get smudged. There's just such a great variety with these two sets together. Oh, it looks like I got a little spot of water on that green there. That it's such a versatile set. And I think I will prioritize a landscape done with these paints because they really are quite nice and they deserve to be used, and they're not being used. Okay, let's see. That page is already dry, so I'm going to go ahead and flip that over. All right. Yeah, I'll put the plastic. Should I put the plastic back over? Yes, I will. I think I threw the plastic away for the smaller container. But there you go. There they are back in their little cubbies. I'll zoom back out. All right, and that's all I had for you today. So please subscribe so you can keep track of future videos. If you ring the little bell, you'll be notified when I post new things. And I hope to see you next time. But in the meantime, have a great day. Thanks so much. Bye.